Hi everyone, I'm Ken from CryptoTradingKS. If you're new, welcome, and welcome back KS family. Let's run the numbers. Bitcoin currently up 0.33% to 28,873. Ethereum down 6.41% to 1946. From my 30 plus years in financial markets, I explain the smart money mindset to assist you to be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love, gaining real wealth in the process. If you would like daily updates on price movements in the crypto market, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, please subscribe to YouTube. Please consider sharing and liking this video and also subscribing to the channel. We'd love to have you as part of our globally extended KS family. What I've done is just a quick run through the crypto market. You can see that there are many opportunities, but we can still see UST is under severe duress, down 40.92% to 46 cents in the dollar. A lot of people have become concerned about USDT and USDC, and they think this is depegging. This is not depegging. This is very, very normal. USDT and USDC fluctuate around the dollar. Don't believe what a lot of people say, that a stable coin must remain at $1. They fluctuate all over the place, and I'll show you that a little bit later. And that's really normal. It's nice to see a little bit of green inside the market. And the standout today is APE, up 36.16%. Quant is doing quite well, up nearly 16%. Maker is doing well, up nearly 11%. But we continue to see a lot of negative pressure, downward pressure on blockchain infrastructure. I've left helpful links in the description of this video, such as the links to the CryptoTradingKS Masterclass, and you can always reach out to me and directly message me on Twitter at any time. Crypto technical analysts scientifically track investor attention, which is measured through price, which is reality, not future promises. The first thing that we do is mark up our charts with the CTKS methodology. Then we look to outside trends, checking the stock market, world events, and collecting probabilities. We then look back into the crypto market, finding the market's focus, understanding that opportunities reset daily. Just think about APE, up over 35%. That is what we talk about by opportunities resetting daily. Enhancing your pattern recognition is really, really important. That's part of the timing section in the CryptoTradingKS Masterclass. Before we buy or sell, we have to have a real wealth mindset, and that's all about positive excellence and mastering emotional control. It's also about setting reasonable expectations. When people want to get rich quickly, they often find that they lose money quickly. They don't get rich quickly. Getting rich slowly is the key. And actually, it's not getting rich at all. It's getting wealthy. Let's look at the outside markets. We know the cryptocurrency has been hit dramatically. It's currently trading at 1.228 trillion. But what we see here in this particular chart are the relativities between the stock market, the bond market, and the cryptocurrency market. What we're actually looking at with crypto is the next evolution of the internet. It's Web 3.0. It's the internet of value. And when we look at the adoption rates of crypto, they're just following the adoption rates of the internet. So what we would expect to see over time is more and more and more crypto adoption to occur. And of course, the crypto market is incredibly volatile. And that's actually what makes huge returns, but it also carries with it huge risk. I've said before that the crypto market is one of the hardest markets on the planet, but is also one of the most profitable. But you have to have your mindset in the right place, and that takes a little bit of time to get. Turning to the Wall Street Journal, on the front page, what do we see? Crash of Terra USD shakes crypto. There was a bank run. Well, we know from yesterday's episode there was a lot more to it than that. This particular article has a lot of good things in it. I'm going to be speaking a little bit about Do Kwon. just in a tick, but it helps to have a picture of the man. Do Kwon has a bit of a reputation on Twitter, and Eric Wall said, who is Chief Investment Officer at Scandinavian crypto hedge fund Arcane Assets, he said, Do Kwon will call anyone who questions him an idiot. This actually bears a lot of reference to what I'm going to show you on a little bit later. Just make note of this. One particular stablecoin, USDC, has kept its link to the dollar during Terra USD's turbulence. Just keep that in mind as well. What we're actually doing in this particular segment is just looking at the main markets, but I wanted to point out that the main markets and crypto are consistently overlapping, and they will continue to. So understanding what's happening inside the main markets and understanding what's happening inside crypto, it's important to keep your eye on. We can see that the US economy is towards the end of mid-stage and approaching expansion. This is really good because it means employment is increasing, unemployment is falling, and the economy is quite strong. But it also means inflationary pressures are getting higher and higher and higher, and that means rate increases. The business cycle just goes between positive and negative growth, so we expand and we contract, we expand and we contract. Recessions are always on the cards, but I believe the recession is a little way off. This is baked into the business cycle. And the Q1 2022 earnings beat data, 70% of companies have reported that they have beaten their earnings estimates. This is pretty good stuff. And this further reinforces what we're talking about here. However, the markets have been absolutely brutal of late, and we've seen through the Bloomberg Global Aggregate Total Returns Index, returns unlike any other year. So let's have a look at the markets. We can see that fear has been spiking up. It's on a bit of an uptrend at the moment. And what does this mean? Prices are coming down. What does that mean? Well, when prices are coming down, people get a little bit faked out. They get scared. And we also know that Bitcoin cannot escape the stock market's gravity, especially during corrections. And that's the thing you need to understand about the gravity. What happens when the fear starts to come down? It could do one of two things, of course. When we actually look at the VIX is not known to consolidate. It explodes and implodes, explodes and implodes, explodes and implodes. That's what it does, but there's nothing stopping the VIX from exploding higher. And this is what we need to keep in mind. That's why I always say, have your three-way strategy fully in play. That is, know what you're going to do with your portfolio if prices collapse, they rally, or they just go horizontal. And coming up to tax time in certain parts of the world, you may think of actually doing tax harvesting. That's where you book a loss. I'm very against booking losses in the general rule, but tax harvesting is something different. For example, if you have a $20,000 profit on the books, but you have a $20,000 loss in unrealized gains, there's nothing wrong with converting some of those losses and then just buying back so that you don't pay tax. So just keep that in mind. We can see the Nasdaq 100 coming down into a heavy support area, and it's been selling off quite heavily. And what do we see about bond prices? They're starting to recover, yields starting to come down. This is actually what we've been waiting for, because the bond prices are not normalized. The bond yields have gone parabolic. Anytime we get a parabolic move, just like this in gold, we expect a pretty vicious retracement. So that's why we need to keep our eye on these things. This to me is nothing more than the markets actually normalizing. We need to see that happening. And what happened to gold? Gold lost its support line, came back up to retest, was rejected, pushed down. And when we look at the US dollar currency index, we can see a lot of people putting their money into the US dollar. They're probably just waiting out this turbulence. Now, what do we also see? It's starting to get above resistance, but this is a very, very big uptrend without a pullback. When we get very, very big uptrends without a pullback, we expect a pretty substantial pullback, just like we saw with oil. When you have a very spiky uptrend, it generally spikes down as well before it consolidates out and tries to figure out what it's actually doing. Oil looks to be crossing over resistance and resuming its uptrend. So just keep these things in mind. Also, the put-call ratio, a lot of people have put bearish bets on the markets, and that's why we've got an increase in put activity. They're trying to put the price down. Now, this is generally a counterintuitive indicator. What we can see when we actually go in and drill into the put-call ratio is when we have heightened particular periods of puts into the market, what we generally see are bottoms. Now, you can see this a couple of times. It doesn't always follow, so we need to be careful. It's not 100%, but it's pretty good. When they spike up extremely, that is a good thing, and we may see a further capitulation spike coming out of this, so just beware, it may not be over yet. Always keep on making your three-way decisions. Know what you will do with your trades, with your investments, with your portfolio if things continue to go down, or they rally up, or they go sideways. This is what professional investors and traders always do. The reason that we look at the stock market is because of Rule 225. In absolute periods of crisis, Bitcoin cannot escape the stock market's gravity. But there's a little bit of a star attached to this, and the masterclass students know this. There's a lot of dynamics that play out between Bitcoin and the main markets. Bitcoin is often the first to recover. A lot of people are concerned about inflation, and we covered that extensively in yesterday's video. We can see the 10-year break-even inflation rate and the 5-year break-even inflation rate are coming down. Something interesting to notice is this annual inflation rate. It actually came down to 8.3 from 8.5, but today the data has disappeared. Just something I want you to be aware of. And it's interesting to see that the federal balance sheet, the Fed's balance sheet, is just on a slight uptick as well. When we look at Bitcoin and NASDAQ, they have come down harmoniously together. Actually, we wish they'd have a fight. Come on, Bitcoin, get it together. Of course, I'm kidding. We don't want anyone to fight. When we look at gold and silver and Bitcoin, they're all coming down in tandem. And a lot of people said there's an inverse relationship between gold and Bitcoin. You can see pretty conclusively that that's not always the case. We do get, from time to time, the precious metals moving in opposition to Bitcoin or moving in the opposite direction. That's fine. This is what happens. But all financial markets, what you will see, there is synchronization and desynchronization happening all the time. Beware of very simplistic rules. You'll get caught on the wrong side of the percentage with those. Let's get into it and have a look at Bitcoin. Rule 45, no alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. So why did we look at all that economic data, all that yucky market data? Surely we just want to look at crypto. We know that this is part of the trends analysis that crypto technical analysts do, and this is all of these sections are covered in the CryptoTradingKS Masterclass. If we do not look at how the outside markets are going, we only have a fraction of the picture, so we must look at both outside crypto and inside crypto. I hope that helps. When we look at Bitcoin, and Masterclass students, you will receive my live chart in TG34. We can see Bitcoin is coming down to very strong support, and it's also coming down to a capitulation level of 25,685. What this actually means, when we see capitulation levels, they generally hold price. They act like a bit of a spring. That doesn't mean it can't come down further, because it could. It could come down even to 20,000. But just bear in mind, you are actually on the right side of the percentage when you trade like this. Please let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on the market right now? Do you think we'll come down and test this 25,685 level? Do you think we'll go lower? Do Do you think we'll go higher? Remember, this is a dynamic level based on the KS model. Let's update this and see just what it's trading at now. You can see in the KS model, just observe this particular red number, 25686.22. What we're actually seeing is that this particular line is going up. That means that we're seeing a bit of upward price momentum in Bitcoin. Now you notice how the line, this particular lower boundary line, catches price. It can come underneath that price, so always be aware of that. But it is very, very powerful at catching price. It gives us some sort of indication as to where things could go. A lot of people say it's going to zero. That's absolutely false in every sense of the word. There's a lot of money in crypto, and when people understand that crypto is just the next evolution of the internet, it's equivalent to saying the next internet will be turned off. No, it won't, because we need it. We need the virtual digitization of money, and that's going to spur new industries. But a lot of people aren't happy with innovation and invention, and they of course fight it. And we've seen it many, many times. I talk extensively about that in yesterday's video. Let's have a look at the greatest percent gainers and losers over the past 7 days. We can see Maker out in front, followed by Tron, FTT, Quant, and Bitcoin. But all of these top cryptos are losing money. And no crypto has lost money quite like this crypto. And what is this crypto? Why don't we have a look? It's Luna. Poor old Luna. Luna absolutely suffered an attack. And what's this one? What do we see here? ANC. And we know ANC and Luna are paired together. And Maker is an actual competitor. If it can be said so, it's just another one of those particular type of projects like Luna and ANC. And you can see that Maker actually took off. It did really, really well. But the one thing that you should note in this is this white line. What is that white line? That's Bitcoin's price action. Notice that when Bitcoin comes down, what does the entire crypto market do? It comes down with it. We may get some escaping, but not for long. And this is the thing with Bitcoin's gravity. It literally is gravity. You can just think of it like this. 99% of alts will follow Bitcoin's gravity. And there's nearly 20,000 alts out there. So that's a lot that follow Bitcoin's gravity. But certain things will override. A lot of people say, what happened to Bitcoin? It's because of this or because of that. Actually, because of the main stock market. And what you can see here is the NASDAQ 100. The NASDAQ 100 is losing value. And crypto is a very volatile industry. So a lot of people draw out their funds when the NASDAQ comes down. But bear in mind, we're actually reaching a level of support inside Bitcoin and inside the stock markets. So we would expect a technical bounce at some stage, but always be aware of negative price momentum. Sometimes when things get a lot of momentum behind them, they just sell down, and it takes them a while to to basically reverse and come up. But we always see this, that things that come down can come down hard and spike, go up, come down, spike. These sort of behaviors are very, very normal in the crypto market. If you know what you're doing in terms of when you look at crypto, you understand that you're investing or trading in really good projects with solid fundamentals. That's a really good thing. There is nothing wrong with putting a small amount of money into a gambling fund, and it's pure gamble, but don't gamble your life savings. Speculation inside the crypto market is pretty rife, and there's a lot of people that do it. I have no problem allocating a very small percentage of the overall portfolio to gambling, and one would be, right now with what's happened, would be Luna. And Luna is a gamble. It could absolutely go to zero, so just be aware of this. But if it recovers even a little bit, it could create life-changing wealth. But only put in what you could afford to lose. And I mean literally what you could afford to burn right now, because things have really turned against Luna. And here is the Russell 2000. When we look at these different major indices, and just remembering that about $55 out of every $100 in stock markets globally is in the US market. These indexes are very, very important. You can see that they have sold down and their gravity has impacted Bitcoin's gravity. This is really critical to know, but typically Bitcoin turns around first, so we're keeping a very close eye on Bitcoin. Turning to the shorts, which are measured in this red line, and the longs, which are measured in green, we can see a lot of longs entering the market as well as a lot of shorts. Let's check the liquidations. Over the past 24 hours, 738.71 million in liquidations occurred across nearly 250,000 positions. And if we look through the past 24 hours, about 58% of those positions were liquidated longs, and over the past 12 hours we get the pretty much opposite, 53% short. Over the past 4 hours, 57% short, and over the past hour, 66.23% short. And if we look, both longs and shorts are getting liquidated. I know I say this a lot, but please don't leverage trade until you absolutely are professional. And professionals know the risks, and they just say, okay, if I lose everything, I know what I'm doing. But a lot of people, when they get into leverage trading, they don't understand the risks. They are so great. So if you are leverage trading, you might like to think about buying a spot. When we look at the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, we can see absolute extreme terror reigning in the crypto market. A fear and greed index of 12 is currently on the board. And when we see this big spike down here, generally it indicates a bottom. Not always. Sometimes there is more space to go down, but typically it does actually hammer in bottoms. But be aware of your three-way decision-making process. If it keeps coming down, please be aware and think about what you will do. If we look at Bitcoin futures open interest, and we can see that futures open interest and Bitcoin's price are highly correlated together, especially from a directional movement, and that's what we're interested in. We can see that we've lost that support line and it's sold off dramatically, just as the major markets have. And when we come back to what happened in May, we had this huge sell-off, came back to a level here of support. So where could this go? When we look at support levels, a fairly conservative support level would be down around this mark. So we may have a little bit more downward pressure in this sell-off. I think a lot of people are really freaked out, and a lot of people are selling into the red. And that has a lot to do with retail influencers saying, we're in a bear market, abandon ship. But you can clearly see that opportunities reset daily, and there's always opportunities in the crypto market. A lot of people say that you can't make money in a bear market. We don't subscribe to such labels. We don't think about bull or bear market. We think about BORSOG market, buying on red, selling on green. But of course, you need to know what you're doing. But the important thing is, there is profit in the crypto market, and actually when prices come down, you get on the right side of the percentage. Let's have a look at the max pain price. We haven't looked at that for a while. With options expiring on the end of the month, we can see that the max pain price, and this is the price where the maximum amount of losses would be incurred by option holders, is $36,000. We're currently trading at $29,406, so this is expecting an increase in price. It can be helpful to look at the options to get an idea of market sentiment. When we look at options expiring at the end of September, there's a lot of call holders that are basically saying, well, we expect that Bitcoin could go all the way up to $400,000. And on the negative side, We've got the put holders saying, no, it could come down to 15. But the overweight is the calls. And that's actually pushing the max pain price to 40,000 in September. Let's have a look at the crypto projects, the top one. And Luna, as we know, has fallen significantly. And it's also been suspended on Binance, trading it. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. And what we're actually trying to do here is to understand the gravitational pull of Bitcoin against the alts. One thing that we see here is Bitcoin's price selling off wildly. We would expect every single alt to follow, and bar about 1% of the alts, which is not really that many. 99% would move in alignment with Bitcoin. What have we seen in Ethereum? Ethereum has been absolutely smashed down because this, when we see this in Bitcoin, we can expect the whole entire crypto market to follow. And that's exactly what happened. We can see Binance Coin following the same route as Bitcoin, but we've seen a bit of a kick up here. Binance Coin is a really good project. When you actually look at investing and trading in times where there's a lot of massive instability in the markets, I would suggest that you primarily trade. And if you're new to trading, you really need to just allocate a very small percentage because you need to know what you're doing when it comes to trading. There's a lot of rules that need to be obeyed. And if you're getting into anything high risk, the most important thing, high risk, high return, but it is high risk to get the high return. Looking at XRP, that's just followed down Bitcoin's gravity, and ADA following Bitcoin's gravity as well. Solana doing exactly the same, AVAX doing the same, and Luna followed the Bitcoin gravity down but was hammered, absolutely smashed, and it's now trading at 0.00005. This actually brings out some important lessons for the crypto community. I covered Terra and UST Luna extensively in yesterday's episode, but I want to give you a bit of a feeling for what's going on. When you look at the article where they said USDC was absolutely fantastic, USDC depegged in a positive way, and we saw BUSD doing it absolutely the same, and Tether also depegging to a degree, but UST absolutely depegged. It's now trading at 24.58 cents when it should be hovering around the dollar. You can see that these stable coins are not stable. Many people think that a stable coin just remains at $1. That's fantasy. It never does. But there's something in this pattern I really want to show you because it has a hidden secret. Remember the May sell-off of last year? Things were coming down and down and down, and you remember we had a big spike in the shorts and the longs. Look at this particular spike. And what we see here with USDC versus Tether, the spike in the other direction, prices kept on coming down. So we had a big spike in Tether versus USD, and it kept on coming down. We had an inverse spike with USDC versus Tether, and it kept on coming down. What do we see here? A massive spike upwards. We see on Tether a massive spike downwards. What does this actually tell you? It tells you something really important. Masterclass students, you will receive this live chart in TM15. But what about BUSD? It actually went up to $1.10, but notice it spiked up majorly. What does this mean to you? It means something very specific to me. Please let me know in the comments. I think this is very important. I'm sharing something with you that I share with the masterclass students. There's a lot of moving pieces behind the crypto market, and interpreting them is very important. So what happened to UST? This is a really good question, and I'm sure it's on the lips of many people. UST Luna was absolutely touted as the place to go. It was an algorithmically decentralized stablecoin, unlike BUSD, USDC, and USDT, which are here, which are backed by US dollars. From the Wall Street Journal, I read a specific part of that particular article out about Terra, and it's important to understand that Do Kwon has a bit of an acidic reputation, and Freddie Reynolds, back on November the 25th, 2021, explained step by step how Do Kwon could absolutely lose Luna and Terra, and he was doing it to help, not to harm. But Do Kwon responded with this: probably the most retarded thread I've ever read this decade. Silence is a perfectly acceptable option if stupid. Billionaires in my following, go ahead, see what happens. Do Kwon, they listen, they heard you. $1 billion of capital was needed. They came up with it. It's really important not to be in Zone 1 and Zone 2. Zone 1 and Zone 2 makes you a lot of enemies. Zone 3 and Zone 4, people just chill out and try to support each other. And that's where we should be as a crypto community. This is a really good lesson. It doesn't matter if you're a billionaire, it doesn't matter if you're a trillionaire. Do the right thing by people. Have integrity, have decency, seek inner and outer peace. What actually happened here? Do Kwon did a call to arms, and he was answered. He knew of the problem that existed with Luna. He knew of the problem that existed with UST, and yet he had a particular response that wasn't helpful to people who invested in either. But we do understand there's a lot more to this, and Wall Street Bets, which is very famous for trying to right institutional wrongs, it had actually come out with a quote, and it wants to actually take action on UST and Luna. So Terra has been powerfully dumped by major whales through massive short positions that have made billions of dollars, and it's true, it's made billions from this. We cannot allow such massive manipulation. It is destroying the reputation of cryptocurrencies. And I agree with this. And I said yes, definitely. Should Wall Street Bets be part of the recovery of Luna's price? Absolutely. I think Wall Street Bets sent a very powerful message to Wall Street. It actually shook the foundations of Wall Street. You might remember that Wall Street Bets was behind the massive GameStop short squeeze. There's a bit of a history to this, but 140% of GameStop's public float had been sold short, and the hedge funds and Wall Street stood to make so much money from this, but Wall Street Bets popped in and said, no you're not. And it did a short squeeze, and it raised the price up from under $50 to $350, and it caused absolute havoc on Wall Street when it did so. So you can see things are not without consequences in either direction. And the developers behind Terra and the Luna Foundation Guard are trying everything they can to save Luna and to also save UST. They are trying to restore UST and trying to restore Luna as well. And this is exactly what we'd anticipate happening. The crypto community doesn't take kindly to a particular crypto being wiped off the face of the earth just within a couple of days, when it was a very high-ranking project. What we actually saw is the market capitalization of UST falling from in excess of 18 billion down to around 2 billion. I think we have to bear in mind, this wasn't an attack on UST or Luna, it was a centralized attack on the decentralized economy. And as Rand said, buying Luna now is the best risk to reward trade I've seen in a long time, and I do agree with him, but you have to be prepared to lose it all. Be prepared to lose whatever you put in, and that is a rule of trading as well. When you trade, you must and invest. It's no different when you trade or invest, and we know all investors become traders anytime they buy or sell. You must be prepared to lose your initial capital, and that's all you'll lose if you're trading at spot. But if you're under leverage, you may absolutely wipe all your positions out and then some. It's really important. Please do not leverage trade. I think there's a huge learning lesson for the whole crypto community. We've got to forget tribalism. We have to move past, my project is better than your project. For example, when I look at the crypto market, I have no preferences for anything. I don't think something is better or worse than anything else. I all think they're doing a specific job and they're trying to achieve a specific purpose. Some I won't definitely touch, but the concept is I don't feel any negativity towards any project. I think that's what we need to get to as a crypto society. We need to understand that we're facing forces in the external world. Crypto will survive, of course, and it will absolutely prosper. This is just someone taking advantage of a perfect storm. And we need to actually pull together, forget tribalism, forget my crypto is better than your crypto. No such thing. All cryptos are good, just in different ways. And many people might think that Luna's sell-off is isolated. When we look at Theta, it's come down hard. T-Fuel, come down hard. Doge, come down hard. EGLD, Phantom, CHR, LRC, Atom. We can see that they've all followed in alignment with Bitcoin's gravity. What about NIA? It's gone down with Bitcoin's gravity. Matic has as well. Icon, Veracity, VRA, Rose, Rune, IOTA, IOST. What happened to these cryptos? Did their fundamentals change? Did everything change somehow? No, it's Bitcoin's gravity. What happened to your beloved alt? Bitcoin happened to your beloved alt. In the crypto market, we're always looking for signs of strength because we track reality, which is price. Looking to Sand. Sand has moved in alignment with Bitcoin's gravity, but it's starting to kick up. Axie Infinity is starting to kick up. Decentraland starting to kick. Gala starting to kick up. Engine Coin starting to rebound. Look at APE, the superstar, absolutely rebounding, and we can see that from our analysis at the start of the video. Chili's starting to rebound. SLP being a little bit slow on any rebound, but just coming up fractionally. What do we see with some other community favorites? Cody followed Bitcoin's gravity, now bouncing up. CRV following Bitcoin's gravity, but a bit of a bounce now. What about Waves following Bitcoin's gravity, just selling off wildly, but a little bit of a bounce? Arweave came down hard, is already coming back up. Very nice. Showing strength. Zilliqa, ZIL, sold off, found support, and is bouncing. What about Cello? Sold off, is now bouncing. Cartesi, sold off, is now bouncing. There are always opportunities. What about ANC? Sold off and is looking pretty weak at the present time. The psychological element of investing and trading is really important to understand. The first place you can always start is Rule 219. Be kind to yourself, and of course, be kind to others as well. A lot of people are going through an immense hardship, looking at their losses, and they're saying, I can never recover. Maine put out a really nice quote that I want to share with you. It's just money, no matter how down bad you are right now. It's just money. You made it once, you can make it again. There is zero shame in having to start over. No amount of money is ever worth hurting yourself over. Please remember that. This is so beautiful, and this is also the crypto community. We're just a very good group of people, pioneers that are forging a new path into the new internet. And always, please look after yourself. At a time like this, we can bring up some context-sensitive rules. The key to Zone 3 is forgiveness. Despite heavy losses, you can and will rebuild. And of course you will. Zone 1 and Zone 2 are high conflict zones, internally and externally. They're all built on the concept that you can get certainty out of the crypto market. No such thing exists. When you have mind-numbing losses, you've actually opened the door into Zone 3, and a lot of people have had those recently. You can actually pat yourself on the back. You are entering Zone 3 and opening Zone 4 as well. You know that certainty doesn't work, only probability and rules works. You need the knowledge and the skills. You need learning and courage, but in order to have learning, you must forgive yourself. You must look at those losses in a specific way. Looking at the market through Rule 212 is the way to go. Markets demand the tuition fee of losses. If you've made losses, you've paid your tuition fee that allows you to enter into Zone 3 and Zone 4. I've talked a lot about mind-numbing losses. We've all made them. And as you go further forward with your investing and trading career, they just kind of become, again? What kept you awake at night won't mean anything, and one day it will mean the opposite. You'll look at these losses that you have and you'll say, wow, there's a way to get on the right side of the percentage and manage this all better. And then you'll get to a position where you see the blood red day and you say, the redder the better. I want to just get in there. And you'll have the knowledge and the rules of how to do so. A lot of people think that they want to get the highest return possible. Please remember Rule 142. More return equals more risk. The more risk you take, the higher the return that you can get. But don't forget, if you're after a mind-numbing return, you're risking mind-numbing amounts. This is why we focus on real wealth and maintaining a positive excellence life trend. We put money down as a sub thing. We just put it all the way down in the bottom corner. Instead, we focus on inner and outer peace. How would things be different if Dao Quan actually had inner peace and outer peace and he didn't attack people? Would the position with Luna be different? Maybe yes, maybe no. But inner and outer peace is really important. Kindness is also important, as is forgiveness. And it doesn't mean that we're not strong people if we have kindness. It takes a lot of courage to be kind, a lot of strength to be kind, and you definitely have to put up boundaries to other people. Being kind is not being weak, it's being smart. For example, if Dao Quan had have been kind, had outer peace, not attacking people, and said, let's work together, how do we solve this? Would the particular problems with Luna and UST have existed? This is something as a crypto community and the entire crypto universe, we have to think about these things. We need to come together to solve problems. There is no failure in life. You either learn or you win. And if you don't win, you learn. There is no failure. Just delete that from your ideas, your concepts on how you live life. If you feel that you've somehow failed because you have losses, the markets are incredibly difficult to be in, and you need a lot of knowledge. Every day, I just try to give you some edge that's relevant, some edge that's related to the current market conditions, to give you some kind of advantage where you can be more prosperous and you can be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love. But the real wealth aspect is critically important. So many people inside our community don't have any problem with what is going on at the moment in the outside world, because we know how to actually trade and invest in the crypto market. And it does take time, and it does take a disconnection from emotion. What you will find is this retail thinking will keep you trapped inside Zone 1 and Zone 2. Having an emotional roller coaster is really bad for your health, and it also is portfolio destructive. When you become smart money, professional, and we're not about hurting other people, we're not about doing any of that, we're just about moving in sync with the market, being very zen-like and flowing, and not getting involved in any kind of conflicts that disturb either inner peace or outer peace. They're just not required. There are always opportunities in the crypto market if you're looking for them and if you're following price action. That's why I actually go through all of this every day. I want you to understand how the crypto market is moving. And if you're feeling bad at the moment because you're sitting on losses, please know that this is just part and parcel of the crypto market. It's all designed to help you to learn a better way, and then you can go forward with more and more knowledge. It's really, really difficult to go through, and everybody who's become consistently profitable has had their emotions burnt out of them. And if that's the case, if you're feeling highly emotional, know that you're actually on the right path, as counterintuitive as that actually sounds. I wish somebody decades ago had said, Ken, if you're feeling like you're losing, hang in there, because this stuff just gets in your blood. If you're here, you want to be here. Of course, nobody wants the losses, but that's the markets. They demand that tuition fee. But we can look at the tuition fee and say, I paid my tuition. It's now time to get my return. And all you need is the tuition, which is the knowledge. I hope you found this content useful. Please remember, crypto is volatile. Always prepare yourself for the best and worst case scenarios. Reality will likely be between them. Stay safe out there, my friends. Take care, and see you next time. Bye for now.